At the beginning of the session, a dynamic warm-up was used to prepare the athlete for the upcoming session. This particular form of warm-up was used as Macmillan et al. In 2006 stated that dynamic warm-up exercises are more effective in increasing the body's core temperature, heating up the muscles, and generally preparing the body for activity in comparison to static stretching, as they mimic the dynamic movements that will be required by the athlete. Macmillan et al. Also found dynamic warm-ups also improve performance in contrast to static stretching warm-ups. This view is also shared in Young and Beham's study in 2003, where they found 2 minutes of static stretching actually had a negative effect on performance. The exercises selected for this session engage both the upper body and lower body systems of the athlete, as well as activating their core. This is essential in rugby, as it requires all three of these areas to participate in each aspect of the game, according to Baker and Nance, 1999. Trewartha and Casanova in 2008 also came to this conclusion, and specifically highlighted the need for core strength to improve line-out throw-in accuracy. In regards to the length of the warm-up period, a study by Subasi et al. In 2008 tested the effects of a 5 and 10 minute warm-up on knee proprioception and balance, and found both improved performance, with the 10-minute warm-up producing a greater improvement. Macmillan et al. In 2006 also used a 10-minute warm-up for their study, as it takes this amount of time to effectively warm up the muscles and prepare the body for general activity. With this in mind, the exercises shown in the video were repeated 3 times to produce an adequate warm-up, lasting the suggested time.
Press the position. 1, 2, 3. Back up. Yeah, sound areas. We should have nice and controlled these press up here. Keep his elbows tucked in. After that, so we do a bit of a lunges and a twist, which will engage in that core, very constricted movement, yeah. Yep. So we do 3 on each leg, it's a nice deep lunge, hold, twist over the front leg, up, over the leg, so that's give up. Walk it back.
This session was set out in a whole part whole layout. Sims in 2014 explained the whole part whole practice as the whole skill firstly being practiced and executed before being broken down into the principal parts to practice individual elements and improve on these before putting the whole skill back together. This can be very effective in learning new skills and developing current ones, which have easily distinguished parts where the whole skill together is complex, such as the line-out throw-in. The skill is broken down into 4 sections: the spin of the ball, arm positioning, use of the core to produce increased power, and foot positioning, creating a strong base to perform the skill from. The participant was first instructed to go into the general line-out throw-in practice, with live jumpers to aim at, using different numbers and calls in the line-out similar to what would be occurring during a game. Prior to the session, the athlete was profiled using a profiling wheel, and it was agreed that the athlete had a good knowledge of the various line-out calls. This was done to assess their current technique and throwing accuracy. Having the line-out to react to also created a game-based learning environment, which Gabbett et al. In 2009 said it is essential when learning or developing a skill, as it reproduces the same environment the player will be required to conduct that skill.
Joy! watch him going here. That's better. Better throw that way. Yeah, throw his spot on there, mate, honestly. Make sure keep it proper square on. Square on, mate. Square on, there you go. Charlie! There he is. Make sure we're jumping into the line, boys, yeah? Make sure we're jumping into the line. Charlie! Better.
After seeing the participants struggling to complete many successful line-outs, throw-ins, some due to the poor weather conditions, poor lifts within the line-out, and some down to poor throw-ins, the athlete was separated from the group for a one-on-one session to focus on their technique. This section of the session began as a block practice format, as block practice helps produce myosin according to numerous journals such as Brady in 2008 and Porter and Magill in 2010. The block practice method was used also as Denny in 2016 and Cuddy and Jacoby in 1982 noted that block practice is a useful technique to use when coaching a new skill or new technique to the performer. The skill was also broken down into separate sections, as this enabled the performer to get a good kinesthetic feel for the different aspects of the skill. According to Maxwell et al. In 2006, this is a valuable learning technique. As can be seen in the video footage, the athlete was first coached to put spin onto the ball, which would help improve the accuracy and flight of the ball. After this was achieved, the skill was slowly built up by progressing the skill through the session. As Irwin et al. In 2005 stated, progression of a skill can lead to an effective development of the skill being focused on.
Stand a little bit further back. Just one hand. Drive through. One more. Nice. Guide the ball. It's front hand, okay? So usually before, when you sort of like had ball, think the fat part of that ball. Yeah. So you'd be having one hand back, then your right hand. Yeah. So you have your right hand back. So be force the ball, get the spin. Your left hand will be guiding towards me, okay? So I'm going to focus literally just on your arms at the moment. So I'm going to get down and just so you try and throw the ball to each cone, yeah? So we'll start with red, then go yellow, then go green, yeah? Yeah, exactly right. Really focusing on that. Keep those elbows nice and tucked in. Yeah. Arms rails. We're trying to stay in that same position. But instead, we're trying to focus on using the jaw. Because your whole body is working really. So, engaging your core, get a bit more lift, okay? Get that angle going. So, I want to stand at each cone. So we'll do three at each cone, yeah? 3 at each cone. So, see me right behind you. Right along the side. Yes, go. making a line out. There we go. Yes. Go one more. Don't focus on the bullet, just focus on the feeling of the movement, yeah? Feeling of the movement. There we go. Sounds good. Right, so now we've focused on the core and arm positioning, which the elbows nice and tucked in. We'll try and engage your legs as well now, because it is a full body throw. It's not like when you do a football throw in. If you do a football throw in, it's just all your arms, none of your core, none of your legs. Whereas this, try and get that lift and that loop. We'll be aiming to use the whole body to get that movement, okay? So, start off with, just going to do one position. I'll say one position, you can throw it to me, and I'll call out a colour after on, later on. Yeah, let's do this first, yeah. That's how good it is. Focus the whole body. That's how it's
After breaking down the skill into its simplest form and slowly building it back up from focusing on the athlete's arm positioning and instructing them to engage their core to produce a more powerful throw, the athlete's body positioning was then focused on, as this brought the athlete one step closer to perform the whole skill. Looking at body positioning is important in regards to producing a good line-out throw-in, as Sayers in 2003 stated, after analysing numerous line-out throw-ins, that throwers should model their technique on movement patterns and kinesthetic feel to increase reliability and reproducibility of the line-out throw-in. So now, like nailed that. I want us to shout out random colours, okay? So you have to react to where I'm going to go. Right, okay. So, at the back, I'll show green, run back, be there to go for it, yeah? Make sure on the green one, we're going to do a bit of a loop. Red one, a bit of a dart, you just go straight for my face. Then yellow, just float it, yeah? Yep. So, green. When the athlete had approved their technique, some random practice was introduced. This meant the performer had to react to an external stimulus and alter their throwing technique. A study by Ray et al. In 1982 found that random practice can be very beneficial when coaching a skill. The frequently modified routine can often result in a better retention of the skill after adequate training is completed. This theory is also supported by the study undertaken by Han and Xia in 2008. Throughout this section, the participant was given positive encouragement and feedback, correcting their technique. As Wolf et al. In 2002 stated, external feedback benefits the skill acquisition of athletes. Wilmore et al. In 1994 also found that positive feedback in sport helps build self-esteem and skill development in athletes. After being coached the correct technique and responding well to random practice, the athlete was then reintroduced to lineouts with live lifters. Players standing by were asked to watch the participant to add pressure and create a more game-like scenario, as game-based exercise can help improve the development of a skill, according to a study by Light and Roberts in 2010.
Yes! Nice. Better voice, it's good stuff, it's good stuff. Yes! Oh, thought you were going to get your hands there, right?
Let's have some nose.
No! Oh, wait. That's decent.
Line-out accuracy improved after the one-on-one session. However, the line-out jumpers and lifters were unfamiliar with the calls, and therefore some line-outs were unsuccessful, which frustrated the focused on athlete. After seeing this, the session was then regressed. A more simplified method of block practice was again used to help install some confidence in the athlete. A pod of 3 players was used, and these players stayed in their current position, providing a basic stimulus and target for the player to hit. A study by Buzzard et al. In 2016 showed regression or simplifying of a skill can be beneficial to improving skill development and acquisition when the skill is proving to be difficult and complex. The regression of the skill proved to be very beneficial to the athlete, who improved their throw and accuracy greatly in this final section of this session.
Make sure we're still working on the same one.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, that'll go.
Yeah, let's go!
Whatever, I'm just going to stand here. I'm going to wait for you to come to me. I'm going to wait for you to come to me.
Lovely stuff, gents.
You want us to move back?
No, stay where you are.
Stay, listen to the director.
Yeah, bring him up in this position. Why don't you just leave? I'll just stand here. I'll stand here and look pretty. I'll stand here and look pretty.
Yeah, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, Millsy,
Did you?
let's go.
Same again. This time though, let's get a bit more rocking your.
Right, so.
Good stuff, good stuff. Fucking bang on, mate. Lovely stuff, mate. Lovely stuff.
Good darts.
Thanks, guys.
I'm with you. Just take a tiny little bit off it, you'll be fine. Just a tiny little bit. Just set yourself. Nice wide base, yeah, nice wide base.
Henry, time was out here. We're outside.
Just literally, your whole body's going to be
Let's go soon. Up!
Bang where it needs to be. Bang where it needs to be.
Honestly, it's so slippery.
See that? Yeah. That's the thing, it's just trying to roll it, isn't it? It's trying to roll it.
3, 2, 1, up!
Spot on, mate. Spot on that.